This is a place.
This is the place?
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place.
Welcome to this week's episode of This is a Place podcast. My name is Nate, and with me is a guy, while wearing the right pair of shoes, can finally ride the roller coasters at Lagoon. Brandon.
You just had to go there, didn't you?
Just had to.
Low blow.
But it was nice though, right? Riding the roller coasters.
Yeah, fun to finally, at the age of 27, get to ride the roller coasters.
How'd you like it?
It was fun.
It was good?
Yeah.
Well, before we dive into, obviously, this week's topic, let's hear what's going on in your life.
I went to Lagoon over the weekend.
Surprise, surprise. You should have invited me.
I did.
Oh, you did. I was there.
You were there too.
I was there. It seems like so long ago.
It was a whole day ago. Other than that, I didn't find any skunks this week, so that was good. But I also didn't go any runs. Maybe that's why I didn't find any skunks. But
Are you now scared to run?
yes, that's what we're going with.
That's a good excuse. Yeah.
What about you? What's new in your life?
Not much. We went, took the kids boating for their first time. First time boating for me in about 12 years. So between Lagoon and boating, had a lot of sun this week. So got our vitamin D for the week, that's for sure. But nothing much else going on. Jazz start their playoff push.
Without Mike
week.
Conley?
He came home from the bubble, right?
Had a kid, yeah.
Had a baby. His wife had a baby.
That's important stuff.
Yeah.
We'll give him a pass.
That's a good excuse to go home, I would hope. So we'll see how they do.
Yeah. I sent you a funny video related to... I just barely started watching The Last Dance on Netflix finally. And I found that video for the guy who poisoned the Michael Jordan pizza.
The pizza guy?
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
So go check that out. You get to hear the guy's whole story about how he was destined to poison Michael Jordan's pizza.
So you decided to watch that instead of watching Hoosiers.
Oh boy.
So how many hours did you watch?
I'm on episode 4.
So that's 3 hours worth of watching that you could have watched Hoosiers probably twice now.
No, but not everybody's talking about Hoosiers right now. People are talking about The Last Dance. I want to know what happens.
If he wins or not.
Yeah. I want to see if the Jazz actually end up winning in 1997.
But how can you understand what basketball is without watching Hoosiers?
Good point, Nate. I'll go watch Hoosiers.
So we have Hoosiers you need to watch, and then we added another movie to your list yesterday. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. The Three Ninjas?
Three Ninjas, but I got great news for you.
What?
It's on Amazon Prime, free with ads. So if you watch it with commercials, you can watch it for free.
I haven't watched a commercial in a long time.
So Hoosiers, I don't know if Hoosiers are still on there, but...
I still have the DVD.
You still got the DVD, so we're okay there, but now you can watch Three Ninjas.
I'll get right to that.
So you got some good homework assignments. You need to push aside the Michael Jordan documentary. Come back to that later.
Fine.
And do your homework assignments.
You give me a lot of movies to watch.
Just trying to get you up to speed.
I'll start watching movies when you start listening to music I give you.
It was really hard to have conversations yesterday when you didn't know the references to the movie.
Yeah, and you and our guest today were able to talk all about it, and I was just left out.
Exactly. I think that was a good segue into introducing our guest.
Let's do it. Bring in a former guest who was on an episode about 10-ish episodes or so ago, and his name is Matt. I thought you weren't going to use the opening song.
I like being me, and I know that you agree.
You talked right through it.
Because I didn't think it was going to happen.
Yeah, that's how big we're getting. Our guests have their own intro song.
Guests have their own intro song.
Who knew?
What was that song you were playing, Matt?
Oh, that's a great song. It's by McGruff, the Crime Dog. Titled "I'm Glad I'm Me."
Sounds like a good one. I'm gonna have to check out.
It's an important message. You should be proud of who you are.
I do. Could you get a McGruff Halloween costume? And if you wore that costume, would anybody know what it is when you're walking down the street?
We would know.
You would know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know now because I told you. But...
Oh, look, McGruff. It's Nate.
Rough.
Well, thanks for coming on, Matt, again. I mean,
Yeah, I'm happy to be here again.
yeah, we decided to have you on since you're such a theme park aficionado, and we're talking about Lagoon today, so seemed fitting. And the three of us were able to go and have a research trip. We were able to expense it for the podcast, so.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to get out for the day and do official research at Lagoon.
It was rough, wasn't it? It was tough. Sometimes you got to do hard things to make life worth it.
You were doing the rhyming. I thought you were going to do like McGruff. It's rough and tough, and then you got McGruff.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Only you can prevent. Oh, I'm just kidding. That's the bear.
That's actually one of my favorite sayings I say to my daughter when I leave the house. I'm like, don't do drugs. She would look at me like, what?
Your 9-year-old daughter?
Yeah. So, because I know like that program's not really around anymore in elementary schools, right? So I've got to.
Well, it doesn't fit so much of the guidelines have changed.
Have they?
I think so. I mean,
I don't know.
You can kind of smoke marijuana now, and that's not
That's true.
the same.
You don't want to offend anybody nowadays. So, good point. But, yeah.
Anyways, Lagoon.
Lagoon, back to Lagoon. Speaking of drugs, Lagoon.
We are going to have this is one of probably 100 Lagoon episodes we'll do.
That's true. We've been struggling trying to figure out how to do this episode because of the fact that there's just so much that we can talk about during this episode. So we figured we're going to have to do multiple episodes about Lagoon. If not, this would be much longer than Hoosiers and Three Ninjas put together.
We're about 7 minutes into the episode so far. And just a fair warning to all who are listening, if you came looking for the facts, the history of Lagoon, you're not going to get it in this episode. We're just going to tell you a good hour or so. How long? We don't know how long it's going to be. We're just going to talk about Lagoon and see where it goes.
Get it out of our system, right?
Yeah.
And then the next one we can get into the facts.
We'll see.
The facts of life.
The facts of life.
Of Lagoon.
First, though, I want to give a shout out to our wives for allowing us to take this trip. Shout out to Matt's wife for holding down the fort at home with a couple of kids and letting him come join us. And my wife as well for watching our child. So,
Remind us, Matt, what your daughter said to you on the phone at Lagoon.
Yeah, she called me. I told her I was going to be gone all day, but I didn't really tell her where. She's 5. And she was like, "So what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm at Lagoon with Brandon." And she goes, "You're at Galoon? And you didn't invite me?" And she was so upset that I didn't invite her to Galoon. So yeah, she was kind of mad at me. And then she called me and told me to bring flowers home. And I think she's picked up that, like, when I'm not in trouble at home, but sometimes I bring home flowers.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, so I think she's picked up on that, and she called me and told me to bring home flowers. So
That makes
I think she was, yeah, the point she was getting across was that I was in trouble for going to Lagoon without her. So.
oh, so you're bringing not flowers for your wife for taking care of the kids, but for your daughter,
Right.
you did not invite.
Because if you offend somebody, you got to give them flowers, right? Is that what she's saying?
You've never given me flowers, and you've offended me so much.
You don't bring me flowers anymore.
So what I usually do is when I go to the grocery store, just randomly, I'll buy flowers for my wife. And then Macy will usually see me at my car before I go inside, and I'll hand the flowers to Macy and say, "Go tell Mom you got these for her." So Macy thinks that she's tricking my wife and being like, "I got these flowers for you," but Lindsay really knows.
Yeah.
Did you get flowers?
Nope. And Macy reminded me as soon as I got home, "Dad, you didn't stop and get flowers."
Oh, goodness. So you have to buy 2 flowers because you offended her twice. 2
Yep.
mistakes.
Yep.
Yeah, my daughter does the same thing. Like, she thinks, "Look, Daddy bought us flowers." You're like, all right, we'll roll with that. So sometimes I have to buy 2 sets of flowers, one for her and one for Mom.
Man, I feel like a bad husband. I never bring home flowers. Let me make a note.
I got some dandelions in my yard. You can come pick. Yeah, my daughter, when I got home, she didn't know where I was all day, and she kept asking, "Where were you? Where were you?" Just kept avoiding the subject of telling her where we were because she would have been upset too if she knew.
Usually she comes with us on research trips because she's our photographer.
She's usually the photographer. But yesterday we brought my oldest son with us because there is a promotion going on right now, right?
Yeah.
If you're a student, you get a discounted ticket, and the student can also buy additional park passes for
Can bring guests.
bring guests. So you guys were a guest of Rocky yesterday. So,
And I will also say this. Maybe I shouldn't because we'll get in trouble, but I don't think that teen working the station even looked or even would have cared that we bought those school tickets. We could have walked in there without a child and still got the deal.
absolutely. And I think most places are like that. They want you to think they're going to be strict so that it prevents people from trying to cheat the system. But the good thing is we were still honest people, and we went with the student, right?
Yeah. And it was nice to have the four, so nobody was left out on a ride.
Yeah, and Rocky's a good amusement park kid. He always has loved the thrill rides, which is crazy because me at his age was scared to death of roller coasters.
Some people at my age are still scared of some things, okay? So
This is very true.
of course, we have to do some reviews, and there is no shortage of reviews for Lagoon. I will tell you right now. You go to Lagoon on Google, and you're looking near thousands upon thousands.
14,000.
14,000.
To be exact.
So I picked out a couple 1-stars that I found entertaining. Dark Knight Prepper says, cold hot food, little to no training, no music, no policy enforcement, aggressive carnival game workers, and way overpriced. Worst theme park I've ever been to.
Well, here's the first problem. I'm going to be strict about this. Lagoon is not a theme park. Lagoon is an amusement park.
Ooh.
Good
That
point.
person doesn't even know what they're talking about. And what was the posse thing?
No policy enforcement.
Oh, policy. I thought you said posse.
There's plenty of posses at Lagoon.
I was like, what the heck is he talking about? Anyway, Lagoon's not a theme park, people.
Nope. There's your first problem right there. And I heard tons of music.
I did too.
Or was that in my head?
They even on the, what do you call it, the sky ride? What's the ski lift one?
Yeah. There was music going.
There's speakers on those poles. So
yeah, there's music going on.
Traveling Wilburys. And you guys thought it was... Everybody heard a different song.
But there was music. That's the point.
But I'm here to tell you, I heard the correct song.
A common theme I found in recent negative 1-star reviews is a lot of people talking about how they exploit artists. And this person says, hard to support a place that attempts to exploit artists for their own gain under the guise of a contest. I don't know what happened, but there's a lot of angry artists out there right now. Yeah, see, you have another one right there. There's a bunch of them.
Compensate artists for their work. And I'm trying to figure out what did they mean.
I wish there was more context.
Yeah, like
this is what happened.
Because like over by the bathrooms, they have that wall of like pictures that looks like elementary kids drew. Are they talking about that? Or are they saying like the artwork throughout Lagoon has been...
Or that cool big tiger mural that they have that we noticed?
Yeah. That tiger mural was awesome, and I've never seen that before.
Good chance it's been there for forever, but we're paying attention to the details because we're on a research trip.
Adam says too crowded. Or he said crowed, actually.
Too crowed. Todd Barrow's upset because he says they don't enforce their own mask policy. What a joke.
Yeah, there's a lot of people about the COVID thing.
So here's a good question. What is their mask policy? Because I didn't really know either.
When they first opened up this year, they were strict on you having a mask or showing that you had a mask when you walked in the park. And it seemed like when you walked in with your mask on, you could immediately take it off and they didn't care. And it was probably about, 3 or 4 weeks ago that they started mandating that you have your mask on during when you're in line for the rides. So they've been really pushing the mask more this last 3 or 4 weeks than they did when they first opened back up.
I was shocked when we walked in the park and nobody was wearing masks. And then I found out you only had to wear masks while waiting in line. Well, I guess the first time I saw it is when we were walking by the white roller coaster and everybody's screaming and their spit is flying into the people's face behind them. And nobody's got masks on. And I was like, wait, where are their masks? And then we walked in the park and I realized nobody was wearing masks. And then I remembered the park is ran by teenagers.
There's a bunch of reviews that talks about that as well. But we were just, yeah, I mean, not to get into politics at all, but it's just interesting that you don't have to wear it while on the ride. So the analogy I made to my sister-in-law just a minute ago, who's a nurse, it's like washing your hands before you go to the bathroom. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But
It doesn't serve its purpose.
But yeah,
My gripe with the whole mask thing is I thought the whole point was wear a mask if you're 6 feet apart from people. If you're not able to be the 6 feet apart, then you wear a mask. So even in the lines, okay, first off, they're not staying apart from everybody. There's pockets where people are social distancing, but they say 8 feet in the Lagoon lines, but then you still have to wear a mask in line. So you have to wear a mask. You also have to be apart.
yeah, they even paint on the ground where you're supposed to be standing to make sure you stay 8 feet apart. And some rides, people were pretty good about that, but yesterday was more crowded than other days I've been this year, just because it was a Saturday. But some people just ignore the lines on the ground. But
They know
anyways,
that if they wait faster in line, they'll get on sooner.
that's my favorite. That was my favorite. You guys remember we got off the pirate ship and that girl was letting people through and the line moved and she like cut us off because we couldn't get through. And I'm like, it's not going to lose your spot in line if you let us one more person walk past you. But it's interesting how people get so nervous.
Maybe one time somebody did just butt in line, and
That's
she's just
true.
never gonna let it
Right.
go.
But Mark Nilsson gave a 1-star review, changing the subject from the mask, but says our son and daughter-in-law stuck on ride for over an hour, more likely 2 hours. The park closed and they were still stuck. Finally, we left after dark. They were offered a free hot dog. Really?
We were going to throw this hot dog away, but
Yeah.
do you want it instead?
That's what I was going to say. It's like, here, have a free hot dog, which is probably nasty to begin with. But if we would have got stuck on a ride, could have had free food.
I wish we would have got stuck on a ride.
We got stuck on the Terror ride earlier this year with I think I had Rocky, my oldest, and my daughter in the cart, and got stuck for about 5 minutes. They turned all the lights on.
Oh yeah,
So we had to go through the rest of the ride with the lights on, but
Then they let you go again.
which is funny. That whole day, you know, we'd take turns picking a ride to go on, and every time my daughter picked a ride, either the ride broke down while we were in line, or it broke down while we were in it. So we told her she couldn't pick the rides anymore because she had bad luck at picking the one that was going to break down.
Yeah.
Yesterday we had good luck and nobody was really picking, but every place we went to, there was no line until we got there, and then the huge line formed behind us. Like every
Yeah.
single ride.
You
Well, I
know,
think
you know
they-
why?
It's because we're famous.
Right.
They were following the celebrities around.
Okay, this will be the last one. It's kind of a long one, but it's a gem. So Michael says, I'm very disappointed about the process of getting my hat back.
This is already good.
It's a nice $30 hat. Yes, it's my fault that it fell off, but it is there. I rode the ride 4 times and could see it in the net every time. When I call, no one can give me a surefire process for getting my property back, so I am changing my rating to 1 star for horrible customer service and for stealing my property. If someone will reach out to me and actually help me retrieve my nice hat, I will update again. Up to this point, I have loved Lagoon, and all it takes is bad customer service to change that. With how much you pay per ticket, I would expect better customer service. For now, I would say your money would be spent going somewhere else. When riding Cannibal, it will eat your loose stuff. As always, we have love going to Lagoon, even though Cannibal ate my hat.
You know what they should do?
What's that?
They should put up signs that say,
That's a great idea.
They should put up signs that says Cannibal eats your stuff.
"Eat your stuff." Yeah, like your stuff could fall out of your
Oh wait,
pockets.
they do
I
have
saw
signs that
that-
say that.
Oh, nerds. Here I am thinking I'm being. Anyway,
Well,
yeah.
to be honest, they probably read that review and thought that sounds really good. Cannibal eats your stuff.
Either way, 1 stars or not, we love Lagoon and we loved our trip, which we're going to talk about. Well, we should probably say what Lagoon is. For those who don't know,
That's what fun is.
it's what fun is. Yes.
That's actually how my wife and I, when we want to talk about Lagoon, we say that. Do you want to go where fun is?
Well, you could have said that to your daughter yesterday, and Matt could have said it to his daughter when they asked where we were. We could just say we're where fun is.
We were where fun is.
Yeah.
But to be fair, so people know, I did take the rest of the family a couple days earlier to Lagoon, so that if they did find out I was taking just one of them, that they wouldn't be too upset. But
Right.
so far, they're good.
So I guess to be fair, what Lagoon is not a theme park, but an amusement park located in Farmington, Utah, and it has its roots back to 1886. I thought that it started out as Saltaire and that became Lagoon, but there was Saltaire, which was on the south side of the Great Salt Lake, and where Lagoon had its origins was in a bath house of some sort, some kind of bath resort, as they called it, that's on the east side of the lake. I mean, Lagoon's not too far from the Great Salt Lake. It kind of just migrated
Right.
over that way, and that's where it stands today. What about you, Matt? What is Lagoon to you?
I don't know. I don't know how to answer
Is
that
your
question.
favorite amusement park in Utah?
Yes, Lagoon is my favorite. So I did grow up going to Lagoon. We had season passes most of my childhood. I am the youngest, and so once my brother got to a certain age where it wasn't so much fun for him anymore, we kind of stopped buying passes for the family. But when I was younger, we went all the time in the summer, and my mom is a teacher, so she had summers off. So we were always at Lagoon, and I loved it. It's a great place. And I personally think that people in Utah are way too hard on it, thinking that it's not that great, because it really is a good amusement park. And people always complain that it's too expensive, which tickets are pricey. But if you think about it, there's good rides there, and there's also a water park in there. There are water parks that cost more to just enter a water park. So I don't know. I think it's a good deal, but
And I think a lot of people have called for someone like Six Flags to buy Lagoon or Cedar Fair, but we would lose so much if some big company came in and bought it, because there's so many parts of the park that they just wouldn't appreciate the same way, and they just decide to get rid of to make more money-making opportunities. And the good thing about Lagoon is it's the largest family-owned amusement park, I guess, in the world. I don't know how to definitively say they have the claim to that, but I buy it when they say it. It's been the same family for all these years.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder too if Six Flags or somebody bigger commercial type establishment bought it, if the pricing would even go higher than it is now.
Right.
But Matt brought up a good point that, well, not a good point, but he talked about the season pass. I mean, if you go online, the pass for one day is $69.95, but there's always discounts and things you can do. Where usually during the Black Friday shopping time, you can get a season pass for about $120 or so. Would you say, Matt?
I don't know. My mother bought them for me.
Oh.
Thanks, Mom.
So basically, if you get a season pass and you go twice, you broke even for the year, and if you go more than that, it's just cheap entertainment. So
to put in perspective too, I mean, the only person I'd be okay with buying Lagoon would be if Disney bought it, because they do some awesome stuff. I don't think they'd ever do that, but for perspective, Lagoon is larger than both Disneyland and Disney California Adventure and Knott's Berry Farm. So they have so much space there. Lagoon is 95 acres compared to Disneyland's 85 acres.
that's interesting.
And California Adventure is 72 acres. So it's a big place. And I think a lot of it is because they have those bigger roller coaster thrill rides, but they've got a lot of space to work with, and they're building a new ride right now, so there's even more space for them to work with that we don't even realize. So they can just keep expanding.
And they've come a long ways from when I was a kid. The Fire Dragon was kind of the big ride when I was a kid, and now you hardly ever have to wait to get on the Colossus right now. Right? It's growing and it's gotten a lot better. I think the value's there, even if you just buy a day ticket. I think there's still value there compared to Disneyland is like what, $110 for just one day. So.
Well, my question is, you talk about the season passes and the prices, but if you notice on every ride you go on at Lagoon, in the queue section, they have listed how many tickets it costs to go onto the ride. What does that mean?
I have always wondered that same question.
Going on the website, I can't find anywhere that you can buy just tickets to go on rides. But years ago, I went once, and they let us buy tickets for. You could go on like 3 rides, like the Carousel, the Muzak Express, and I think the Ferris wheel. But these days, I can't find anywhere you can just buy individual, like 10 tickets for what it would cost to go on something like Wicked.
And the thing is, even when they do put up new rides, they still put those tickets on the signs.
Right.
So, yeah, growing up, I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, that was like an old system that they had. But when they put new rides, the tickets are still there. I know when we went, my daughter's 5. So 3 years ago, she was 2, and my son, Spencer, was just born. And we went, so we didn't have to pay for him. And Macy was 2, so she could have gotten in for free, but if she got in for free, she can't ride any rides. But you can buy tickets for kids to ride Kiddyland rides and not pay full admission. But I think we did some math and decided it's just easier to just buy the day pass for her.
Can I tell you guys something a little embarrassing?
Please.
When I was a kid, the creature of the Black Lagoon, have you heard of that before? I thought that was something to do with Lagoon, the amusement park, the whole time. So I was a little scared whenever I'd go to Lagoon that I'd see this creature, because I didn't realize what a lagoon was, and that was my frame of reference. Am I the only one that was like that?
Yeah, that's
Never.
pretty embarrassing, but we won't tell anybody.
Well, I just told the whole world. But that brings up a point that I want to make about this park, this amusement park, as I think it would be better as a theme park. What do you guys think about that?
What's your theme? Waterfalls?
They have them.
Yes,
They have
they do
them
have
there.
waterfalls. You had to bring it up, didn't you? That we didn't even get to go on the waterfall ride.
Yeah. We didn't get to go chase waterfalls. And I've told you, don't go chasing waterfalls.
Yeah, well, you didn't let me, so it was a long line anyway.
Well, Brandon was very adamant about going on the Rattlesnake Rapids yesterday. Matt, myself were both against it, but Rocky was in for it. Head on over there. Oh my goodness.
Biggest line out of the whole park.
Speaking of Disneyland, it was Disneyland style waiting. So,
And mind you, this is COVID, so they got things a little bit less on people. So most rides we were able to jump on pretty quick.
right.
But Rattlesnake Rapids probably would have been a good hour and a half wait.
Easily.
So we did not go on
Easily.
Rattlesnake Rapids.
Which is crazy because we were there just a few days earlier and it was probably less than 5 minutes to get on. But we did go on a Saturday. It's obviously going to be busier, but not as busy as a normal Saturday would have been last year without the COVID. But that was probably, and it made sense. It was probably, how hot was it yesterday?
1,000,000 degrees.
At least 1 million, maybe 1,000,002 degrees yesterday. I think we're almost 100 degrees yesterday. So that ride obviously gets a little more popular days that it's hot and when it's cold. So, but the downside to it is when you go on that ride, plan on being wet for a good few hours after the ride.
Well, when we eventually go back for another episode, let's say next year, and do a Rattlesnake Rapids ride, we're gonna have to ride it. So just be prepared for that.
Well, we were willing to do it. You know,
I wasn't willing to wait in
we
the
were
line.
we were we were sick of hearing Brandon pout and cry. So, but
I think we stood by. There's a waterfall that you go under, and it's not like half of the, I guess not boat, and it's not a tube. What is it called?
a boat tube. It's
It's a raft.
a raft.
Yeah, raft. Yeah. So there's no part of the raft that doesn't get soaked when you go under that waterfall, and we just stood at the waterfall and watched people get drenched. It was pretty funny. And also,
You guys
to
are
see-
ragging on me, but it was worth it enough to just go over to watch that happen.
Yeah. Well, I told
Well,
you
yeah.
about that. Like,
Okay.
I wish earlier this week when we went that I would have saw that part before we got on the ride, because normally when you go on the ride and similar rides at other parks, you get a little bit wet, but with that waterfall going, like Matt just said, it's nearly impossible to not just get drenched. So
they're just dumping water on you.
yeah, and it's at the very last part of the ride.
Yeah.
So you think you go through the whole ride, you're like, okay, I did it. I didn't get too wet, and then bam, the waterfall. So
Over some fake rocks,
or some
I will
fake
add.
rocks. Oh.
Those
Yeah,
were some
we
nice
were-
fake rocks.
Back to my theming. So Matt and I kind of both fall into this category as we love theme parks, right? And Nate, you like theme parks too, right?
Who doesn't?
You're more for the thrill.
I'm a thrill ride guy for sure.
So my feelings with Lagoon is there's not a consistent theme. It's kind of all over the place, and they have different theme rides in different kind of areas, but they never really stick to a theme. Which I'll give a shout out to another Utah podcast called Utah Famous, and I was listening to their Lagoon episode today to kind of refresh on some things that I'd heard from it previously. And one of the hosts said that they should do a pioneer/western theme for Lagoon, which is perfect because, I mean, what screams Utah more than that? And on top of it, they've got a whole pioneer village already. So theming every ride in Lagoon to some kind of western or pioneer theme could actually be pretty cool.
What would the Rockets theme be? What's the story behind the
mine
rocket?
shaft?
The mine shaft. Oh, that was easy.
Yeah, geez, give me a hard one, Matt.
Come on, Matt.
The cannibal.
Or cannibal.
The cannibal? I think that speaks for itself. Donner Party.
Give him a hard one,
Actually,
Matt.
the
Come on.
cannibal could be a runaway like mine train, and you do have that rock work that you go through with the waterfall, and that ride.
Yeah.
That's a mine train right there.
So a lot of them could just be easily switched. What else?
Samurai. A spur.
A spur.
Oh, a spur.
Oh, there you
spur.
go. The spur.
Bumper cars could just be horses that ram into each other.
Yeah. What about Colossus? Chupacabra?
Yeah, I was gonna say something with
Some mythical creature?
something to do with Satan.
Something with Satan.
Satan has a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a ride.
My point is there's you could easily theme a lot of these things to just make Lagoon have a consistent western pioneer theme. And I think that would just add to it. Even if you weren't changing the whole park. I mean, I commented on this yesterday. They don't have any walk around characters with the exception of at Halloween time during Frightmares. Then they have a bunch. And I mean, they've got just a bunch of teens working there. So it might take a little bit more to have, like you said, Matt, all the teen would do is just wave and say hi.
Yeah, I have two problems with walk around characters there. Is that that's exactly right. A teenager would not be very enthusiastic. You can imagine on a hot day like yesterday, no teen is going to want to get into a costume. It's going to be hot. And the other thing is it is ran by teenagers. You know, like if you go to Disneyland or any place, Universal Studios, when they have characters out, it's like timed. They have a certain limit, and then they have to go backstage, and then they'll switch somebody out for them. You know, if that was Lagoon, they would not have that. They'd have
There would be one
character
teen.
walk around for
You said the
45
mascot
minutes.
just passed out. From your Oh.
That's a good point. Because we only saw like 2 total adults working yesterday.
Well, it's also we in our Galleria episode, which Matt was on, we talked about they had a mascot and it wasn't a character. Well,
Didn't dress up.
a dress-up character. It was
Not like in a big costume.
right. So just a guy with a hat, basically, right?
Mhm.
So I'm surprised Lagoon hasn't done some sort of mascot.
They've got all the intellectual property for it already. They've got the rocket guy. They've got the wild mouse guy.
I mean, they could at least do something like Chuck E. Cheese does, where they have like the robots in one section that'd
be so cool.
sing a song about Lagoon being fun or something every 20 minutes. But I mean, they do have the show that they usually do, but they're not doing this year because of the COVID. But but it looked like they were setting up like Frightmares. Looks like they might actually. When we walked by yesterday, they were setting up some props for it. So maybe they'll have a show for Frightmares. But I do find it interesting they just don't have any sort of mascot. Not necessarily needing a theme, but just having some sort of mascot. So
Right.
If you think about it, when you enter the park, the first thing you usually hear, although yesterday was way quiet, I'm pretty sure they've changed it, but it was the owl at Dracula's castle. I remember growing up, you could hear that way far away. Maybe that was it. But
Could've been.
probably not.
You didn't hear that yesterday, or you did?
It was much more quiet. It was really hard to hear. You couldn't hear anything, but growing up, I swear, like just walking into the entrance, you could hear that owl talking and telling his jokes.
that's a good point.
I never really thought of that. Well, I think one of the shared experiences that we and most Utahns have is that coming to Lagoon is kind of a rite of passage, especially as you make the transition from junior high to high school. I'd say almost, probably every junior high for your 9th grade, they let you take a trip with all your friends to Lagoon, right?
Right. Did you guys both go to your Lagoon Day?
I did.
I did. That was the first time I was offered weed.
When was the second time?
But McGruff came in your head, right, and told you not to take it.
Yeah, the second time was at a Bob Dylan concert.
Bob
But-
Dylan, huh?
But McGruff was in my head.
Good.
Everybody must get stoned.
The funny thing about that is he did play that song, but we didn't recognize it for like the majority of the song.
How come?
Bob was done. He was like, the music would be going, like he would sing way ahead. So instead of being like, once upon a time you dressed so fine, like stretching out, he'd be like, once upon a time you dressed so fine, and then the music would keep going.
Where was the
You gave the
concert?
bum a dime in your prime, didn't you? And then it took a while to figure out which song it was. So that was fun. I've actually seen Bob Dylan 3 times.
Really?
Yep.
I don't know a single Bob Dylan song.
You don't? Oh, Brandon, you kill me, Smalls.
Sorry, guys.
All right, Matt, burn him a copy of Bob Dylan. More homework for
Burn me a
Brandon.
copy of Bob Dylan. How old are you?
Shoot him in your playlist. Sorry.
I'll make you a mixtape, Brandon. I think at
We're
this
traveling
point,
back to 9th grade with that one. You're gonna make him burn me a copy.
That's right. You don't even know what a CD is. So,
Oh man.
burn me a copy. Remember when I had to ask you to burn a copy? Like
You've asked me a couple
times, twice. You've had to burn. I'm like, I don't have this computer anymore that has a burner on it. So
I still have a burner. So if you guys need a copy, I can burn it for you.
So, which is hilarious when like you have like a school project. They're like, bring a copy of the CD or a burner. You're like, who has CD burners anymore, right? Like I can bring you a jump drive with a song on it, but yeah, make him a mixtape, Bob Dylan. You have the minute, Matt.
I'll just do the Bob Dylan Christmas album, and I think
And if
that's
you
all
could
you'll
put-
need to hear.
Do we want to talk about 9th grade?
Yeah,
And
sorry.
the Sky Ride?
what happened in ninth grade on the sky ride?
The whole point of the ninth grade trip is you're just transitioning into maybe you're finally realizing about girls, and aside from your classic skating trip when you get to snowball,
Mm-hmm.
ninth grade Lagoon trip is a really good time to pick up on the girls. And the best place to do it though is the sky ride, right, Matt?
Yes, that is a very efficient way to pick up girls, as they're going on the other side of the park that you are. But you just stare directly
That's what I was
at them.
wondering. Please explain to me how, like,
It doesn't make sense, and that's why it's great.
oh, because you're like,
Because you're
it's kind of like Dragon State, right? And but the problem is when you're Dragon State is they can stop. The sky ride they cannot.
dragons.
So do you like say, hey, I like you as they
That's
go
exactly
by, and then
how
you
it
both
would
get back on the ride. You go back
Like, hey, let's meet at the middle. Let's
Pass-
meet at the fountains.
past each other, or you hope that it breaks down because it breaks down a lot or stops a lot. I shouldn't say break down, but stops a lot. You hope
Yeah.
that it stops.
But I think that it's a good opportunity for you to try and shoot your shot a bunch of times. You're going across. I mean, this park is closed to everybody except for ninth graders, basically. So it's all of you with your own age group. And so, yeah, you're going across. You're going to see some other girls. You can use as many pickup lines you want as you go, and as many opportunities as you can.
My ninth grade year, I already had a crush on a girl. And at the time, I thought she had a crush on me, but when she showed up, she wasn't too interested. So, anyways,
All right.
so I did not do the sky ride pickup lines. I
Because you were just so sad the whole day.
was like, man, that sucks. Like, she didn't really care.
Can I share my ninth grade story?
Yeah, you can share your ninth grade story.
I was really sarcastic and rude, but it was funny to other people that knew me. Well,
So very
but-
different than you are right now.
Right. Idiot.
Find the sarcasm thing you're talking about.
So I was walking with my friends, and we were walking from Rattlesnake Rapids towards there's that pathway you have to take to get to Rattlesnake Rapids and Pioneer Village, by the Tidal Wave. So we're walking towards the Tidal Wave, and there was this ninth grade girl and her group of friends, and she was holding a sign that said "free hugs," and I said, "Who would want to hug you?" And she was like, "That was so rude." And me and my friends were laughing, and we hear a voice behind us say, "Did he say something rude to you?" And we turned around, and it was our favorite teacher at Bonneville Junior High, Mr. Despain. He was the shop teacher. And she was like, "Yeah." And she told him what I said, and he came up. He's like, "Hey!" And he comes up to us like he doesn't know us. And he full on shoved me, like hard. He shoved me, but he winked at me before, so I knew what he was doing. But he shoved me hard, and he's like, "You better be nice." And then the girl walked off. We thought that was the coolest thing, that a teacher just shoved me. So then we went riding with him. We went and rode the Colossus. And before we got on, he was saying, "Have you guys ever spit at the circle and at the loop and try to catch it in your mouth?"
Oh,
And we're like, "That's disgusting." So we go on the ride, we go around the loops, and we get off, and our friend Brecken was like rubbing his eye. And he was like, "Dude, somebody spit in my eye."
Gross.
But
Okay,
I don't
I've never heard of
think-
that.
if Mr. Despain is listening, I don't think it was him that spit. But he definitely did shove me hard.
Would
I
not
think-
fly. Would not fly nowadays.
Would not know.
Back then, you could date a teacher, and it was totally fine. She could have a picture of you on her desk, and there was no problem with it.
You're
Yeah,
very specific in your story.
that
there,
was
Matt.
that was an oddly specific share, Matt.
No comment.
Well, what else can we share about our trip?
Normally when I'm there with kids and stuff like that, you're kind of hustling between to get to ride. So it was kind of fun yesterday to slow down a little bit. And we kind of took our time walking through like Pioneer Village, and going to parts of the park that aren't as popular. So
We spent a good amount of time in Pioneer Village.
yeah, like I never knew that Jill was there. So shows you how often I've been to Pioneer Park, or actually I've been to Pioneer Park quite a bit. I just never really walked through and looked at everything there. So it was actually pretty entertaining and kind of cool to see.
There's a surprising amount of stuff you can look at there. Tons of old buildings.
But it just so happened to be the only day of the year where you can get your Western photo in Pioneer Village. It was buy one, get one free or get one half off.
Yeah.
Just so happened to be the only day of the year. They had a sign that said today only. So we lucked out, but we didn't take a picture.
We weren't prepared.
No.
If we would have known, if we only would have known.
We were gonna make Nate be the lady with the
leg showing.
leg showing, yeah.
Show off my legs. Since it does look like I shaved my legs, even though I don't.
One of these days we'll have to go back. Hopefully we pick a day when they'll have that deal going on again. Maybe we'll have to call ahead before to find out. But
another interesting thing about Pioneer Village, I have a memory as a kid. I know we're not talking so much about memories as kids, but I have a memory as a kid, and I hope the listeners remember this. There used to be live actors there that would have like the capped guns. That would be like running around Pioneer Village, like shooting each other, at each other, which is really cool. That's something they do at Knott's Berry Farm every year, and it's a huge hit there. That would be awesome.
yes.
Well, that kind of falls in line with a theme park, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they, in theory, have a section that's themed, but not the whole park's themed.
They got a couple parts. They've got like turn of the century areas of the park. Well, they have a ride called the Turn of the Century, actually.
That's true.
But there's sections that are kind of that old feel.
And even with Pioneer Village, there's still no mascot type person, right? Like,
And somehow in Pioneer Village, it happens to be the place they have the water rides, which I don't understand why. Only in Pioneer Village there's water rides. The Log Flume and Rattlesnake Rapids, because they took out the other one. I guess Cliffhanger has a water aspect to it, but like a strict water ride, that's the only place you can find them.
well, I wonder if that's because it's so close to the water park, and so just having all the water stuff in one area.
That's a
Could be
good
a
point.
reason.
And also, Pioneer Village is super cool that people skip over all the time. There's a lot of cool stuff. There's a cool building that has a bunch of model trains and a train that set a world record.
That big model circus
Yeah.
section.
So that's what I was going to say is all of the buildings are themed around like Pioneer era, like Main Street kind of era. And then there's this one circus building that is totally different. And when you go in, it is just filled with circus stuff. And personally, clowns don't freak me out, but there are plenty of creepy clowns in there and creepy dolls. Usually when you see dolls, they're of little kids, but there was this old lady doll.
Annabelle's
Wasn't
grandma.
pleasant.
Yeah, that's what we named her, right? Annabelle's grandma.
Yeah. Some pretty cool stuff. We'll touch on this in the future Pioneer Village episode, but there's even some haunted houses there. And
Outside of Frightmares, right?
right,
Real,
some legit haunted stuff. Kids aren't going to be super excited to go into that section.
because
it's really cool.
There's no rides, which is kind of sad that they don't have like a ride really close to the downtown Pioneer Village, so that people maybe if they're done with the ride or waiting in line for the ride would pay more attention to the museum aspect of.
They got some food and ice cream back there and a swig.
They do. So maybe it's kind of more of like a rest area, right? Where you go to kind of hang out just to take some time off.
Yeah, and that's what was nice about our trip yesterday is that we still did some thrill rides. We started with the white roller coaster and kind of looped around, eventually making it to Pioneer Village and gave us a bit of a break because with it being a little more limited capacity in the park, you get on rides pretty fast, which can be a good thing, except when you're going on thrill rides over and over again.
Well, especially when you get older. Maybe in ninth grade,
Okay,
you
maybe
could have
ninth
done it
grade.
over and over again,
Right.
but you definitely need a break, or I do. I've been there to Lagoon many times before where there's not a line basically at all. You just kind of walk onto the rides. And after about 3 or 4 thrill rides, I'm like, I have to take a break because I'm gonna throw up because of being spun around so much, which is crazy. Because I mean, when you're a kid, did you ever like get in an office chair and just spin around in a circle for like an hour? No big deal.
No, it made me sick.
Really?
Yeah.
Not so much. I could do it as a kid, but now as an adult, spin it like 3 times and I'm done. My daughter loves the teacups at Lagoon, and she made me go on them the other day, and it's too tempting not to spin it super fast. So, but after oh man, I was borderline ready to.
Dude, you're making me sick already just talking about it.
Yeah, my stomach's starting to turn as well, but
I cannot go on spinny rides. That is my one no-no. I'll go on anything else, but not a spin ride.
like the teacups or wait, the fine spin ride,
Anything that spins you around and makes you dizzy. Like the scrambler.
Is it the scrambler or
The
the screamer?
The screamer kind of does the same to me too. The screamer, scrambler.
Which one's the scrambler?
That's the
one that's kind of like the haunted house at Disneyland ride. You know what I mean? The seat.
No,
Scrambler?
that's Tilt-A-Whirl.
Tilt-A-Whirl. That's
Oh
what
no,
I'm
I can do
thinking
the tilt-a-whirl, but the scrambler is the one. It's kind of by the tilt-a-whirl, but it just kind of goes. Yeah. As the listeners, as you can
will know
see,
exactly what you mean by that.
the premium subscribers that get the unedited video version of the podcast can see what I'm doing with my hands, and they'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
So wait,
The scrambler.
scrambler. Good heavens, why can I not remember what it is?
They're both right next to the bumper cars, but like the Tilt-A-Whirl's
Oh, I
directly
got
across.
it.
Yeah.
Like the scrambler is something you would see just at a fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have their fair share of rides that you would just see at a fair.
Speaking of stomachs, although this didn't turn our stomach, but we did try the new restaurant there at Lagoon, Beer Garden.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. That's Jamaican.
That was your attempt at a German accent?
I was doing the yeah. That's when I do yeah.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
It's so hard not to say yeah, man. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, we originally were going to try and go there back before they opened the beer garden, and you could go in there without having to pay the Lagoon admission because it didn't have rides or anything else. But we didn't jump on it fast enough to get there. But we did finally get to try it. And that is Lagoon going in the right direction with theming. You walk into there, it's like you're in Germany. They've got all these different buildings themed to that, and it's a pretty cool little space.
It was a good use of the land.
When we first walked in, they have a screen there that shows all the food and prices. And we were I got one of the cheaper things, the fish and chips, and that was $13. So we were thinking the prices were steep, but honestly, that's how much you'd pay at a Red Robin or Chili's or something like that. And it was on par with those restaurants. The food was pretty good. The fries were really good. And that was cool. The person that served you food spoke in a German accent.
That was cool.
Good for him. He's going for it.
I could tell he was doing the accent, but I could not understand a word he said with the mask on. So, yeah. But I also got the fish and chips. It was surprisingly a lot of food for what you paid for. Like Matt just mentioned, it's probably equivalent to what you'd get at a Chili's or Red Robin. But I did like the fact with the fish and chips, what I'd never had before is where they gave you basically a whole lemon, right? To just
an entire lemon.
over your entire, like they cut it in half for you so you can, because a lot of places you get fish and chips like that, they'll give you like a lemon wedge that barely covers your fish. But I mean, you could have soaked your fish in lemon if you wanted that much lemon juice. But
Matt put his lemon seeds on his. He soaked it so much. Well, my food, I did not
Just worry
like.
about your own food, Brandon.
yeah.
I did not like my burger personally. It tasted like a theme park burger, which I
Really?
was a little upset about. I will say we all were they don't have on the menu that says your meal comes with fries, when generally it does. Because the guy asked me, did you want fries or potato salad?
Rocky did
Don't get
want
the
a
burger.
hamburger, and then he noticed that didn't come with fries, so he changed to the chicken fingers and fries to make sure that he got fries. And then after the fact, because we ordered first and you ordered, and we found out. But ordering a burger at any place can be a crapshoot.
Yeah.
And it's hard to mess up, but they can mess up.
And they did.
But chicken fingers, hard to mess up.
Should have got the schnitzel.
Yeah, that's why I did the fish and chips. I felt like it was more authentic to maybe what they would eat in Germany. I don't know, never been there. But I also thought about getting the schnitzel but it was good and it was great. It was a great little break for us to get out of the heat.
And we took a lot of breaks.
We did, but holy cow,
it was hot.
We drank a lot of water with no bathroom breaks.
Yeah, after every ride, I needed to drink so bad because I was screaming.
Like a little girl.
Yes, I was.
I think I knew this before, but never did it, where you can get a cup of ice water for 25 cents at the food stands. So that's a good... I mean, Brandon had a water bottle that he wanted to take in the park, but it's hard because when you take stuff into the park, where do you put it when you're going on the rides if you're not with somebody who's watching your stuff? So 25 cents to get an ice water.
Because I knew that Cannibal would eat my stuff.
You did? You read the sign?
Well, I knew it beforehand. I didn't need to read a sign to tell me.
Well, every year they have their souvenir cup you can buy for $10 or so, maybe more than that. And then you get 99-cent refills on their soda, which sounds like an amazing deal. And I would do it if I didn't have to carry around
Go on rides.
I just don't know what you do with the cups. So I wish they had a better system for something like that, where if you've ever been on a cruise ship, you can get like the unlimited soda and you just show them your card and then they give you, they scan it to make sure that it's you, and then they give you a soda. So if they had something like that, like you could attach the cheaper sodas to your season pass, that'd be something I would want to do. But carrying around a mug through the park and then chancing it getting eaten up by Cannibal just isn't worth it to me.
Well, that brings me back. Sorry, this to go back to another thing, but they are so adamant about checking your wristband when you go on rides, which I don't understand. If there's not this option for you to buy tickets, why do they have to see your wristband every time you go on a ride?
I think it's more of the show, to make it show that if you snuck into the park that you're not going to get on the ride for free. So I think that has something to do with it. It's kind of like Matt's had a season pass. Have you ever had a season pass?
1 year, yeah.
When you go to the park and you give them the season pass, they like hold it up to your face, right, and pretend like they're looking at you.
And it's a super good quality photo too.
Right, super good quality. But I think that's part of the show too, because I bet you money that if I had your pass or you had mine, we could get in. Right? If I give you my pass, I bet you money you could get in.
Dude, I should try and take one of your kids' passes.
Yeah, well, I've heard rumors that somebody has taken other kids' passes to get in before, because they just don't. Because if you know me, my hairstyle can change every other month. So I've taken my pass before with long hair, then like shaved my head, and they've never questioned who I am.
But what teenager is going to confront you?
That too.
That's the point. So I'm just saying it's I think it's part of the show to make it look like they're checking, so that you might be nervous to do something like that. It's not saying that you should do it.
One of the things that we did while strolling through the park is that they had a bunch of little signs. Brandon, you said that they had
yes,
them this
thank
year.
you.
Yeah, so just random signs. You had to be looking for them.
And
For
I
example,
was looking for them.
Yeah, so for example, the Fantastic store, if that's what it's called, when you enter, it's to your left. And it's a brick wall, but the brick is kind of cracking and it looked like a stairway, the way the brick, like the cracks in the bricks. And there was a sign there that said Stairway to Nowhere. And then next to that one, there are some vines growing up a wall, the same wall. And there was a sign that said Lagoon's highest reaching vine or something like that. So they had fun signs. Yeah, so they had fun signs like that. That was kind of fun to look around and see those and read them and see what they said.
They're in a bunch of weird and random places too. You really have to watch for them.
Some of them are small, like super small, and some are big. That's the one I liked the most, was the do not enter, entrance only. and Brandon thought it was a real sign.
I thought it was a real sign.
When we told him about it.
And that's one that probably people wouldn't look at as much because it's in that space in Pioneer Village where people don't walk through. But I really appreciate that. It's a great job, Lagoon. That's a good one.
So here's a question for the group. You only have tickets for 3 rides. So you're going to Lagoon, you can only ride 3 rides, and then you got to go home. So which 3 rides do you pick to go on?
I'll go first.
Go
I'm
for it.
going to go on Cannibal. That is just a great ride. As much as I hate it, I will go on Rocket because that is the best thrill. For me, that is the biggest thrill. Leading up to it, I am terrified. When I'm sitting and your feet are dangling before you take off, I am terrified. And then as soon as you shoot up, it's like that pure like joy and excitement, even though it's still terrifying.
So you're talking about, because in Rocket's basically 2, you got blast off and re-entry. So which one gives you the
Right.
biggest
I would choose Blast Off.
blast off?
Yep. And then my third one, man, that's actually tough. I'm gonna go with the Ladybug and Dinosaur ride at the Kittyland. But I'd spend my tickets on one of those. Great fun. You get a view of the park. Not really.
Of Kittyland.
You get a view of Kittyland.
So you got 2
It's a
drop
fun
rides on
ride.
your list.
Yeah, 2 big ones and then that Kittyland one, and that's honestly that's the most thrilling Kittyland ride there is.
Oh, absolutely. I think, to be honest with you, the Ladybug and the Dinosaur one give me more of the stomach drop feeling than Rocket does. I think because of the fact that it goes up and down multiple times, where I don't know, it's hard for me nowadays to get that adrenaline rush. Is that what you'd call it, from being scared on a ride? So, but I like I love the feeling of like your stomach dropping that you get on some thrill rides. And Ladybug actually kind of does it for me. So does the pirate ship. Pirate ship's fun.
What about you, Nate? What are your 3 rides?
I would Cannibal has to be it as well. But if I'm doing Cannibal, it was nice yesterday because we got to be on the front row. I think it's a different experience when you're on the front row compared to the back row. So that'd probably be the top one. I also love Wicked. I love the feel of just being shot, going from like 0 to whatever, super quick. Third one would be a tough one. I guess if there was no lines and I could just get on, I would do the Rocket, either one of the Rocket ones. But every time I'm there, it seems like the Rocket is a long line and it's never really shaded. It's always right in the sun, so it's a tough one to. Rocky loves.
That one does the
The
same thing
Rocket.
for me like it does for you, Matt. Like, doesn't matter how many times I go on it, it scares me every time. But I don't like the blast off. That one scares me too much.
Blast off is easier. I don't like heights. The older I get, the more heights scare me. So it's re-entry, right? The one that takes you all the way up and you go there for a minute. That one's scarier for me than blast off.
Yeah.
But
That one you
both
just
fun.
feel like you keep going higher, 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 and you think, okay, I'm gonna stop soon, and you just keep going up.
Yeah. So they're all fun.
So your 3 are Cannibal, Wicked, and Rocket?
Rocket.
Okay.
All thrill rides.
I think for me, man, Cannibal's a popular one. That would be my first choice too. That ride's pretty special. That would be my first one. I think my second one would be, I think I'll go with Wicked as well. That first shot out of the tunnel is an exciting moment, and I really enjoyed that one. But then Curveball, my third one, is going to be probably Dracula.
Yeah. It'd be disappointing if you didn't say Dracula.
Yeah.
We love your theme rides.
I love my theme rides.
I have to say about Wicked, there's one thing I don't like about it, and it has been my experience every single time that my leg cramps up. One of my legs cramps up every single time. And maybe your listeners can chime in on Facebook or Instagram.
Thank you.
I want to know, am I the only one, or do other people experience that too? Your legs just cramp up. Mine, it hurts so bad for me, and I swear that restraint goes tighter when you get to the very top of that tower and you start like going over the hill to go back down. I swear the restraint tightens and I get a cramp every single time, and I got one yesterday. That's why I didn't choose Wicked.
Never had
I was
that
waiting for it
experience.
yesterday, but it didn't happen to me.
Never had a cramp never cramped up on a ride before. So sorry, Matt. You're flying solo on that one.
Well, we've gone over a lot of things. We've missed talking about the zoo controversy, but you know what? We can save that for a whole different day.
But
But
one thing that I did for the first time yesterday, and I believe you guys as well, was we rode the fire truck.
that was the new ride for this year, the fire truck in Kittyland.
Not far away, but it seemed like a ride that you would see at the mall or something like that.
But it's had such good theming on it. Like
It was good.
there was fog coming out of it. It was basically you're fighting a fire. So there's fog coming out. They've got little projections in the windows. It wasn't too bad. We were the only ones on it, and the teen work in the ride probably judged us a little bit for going on it as adults, but it wasn't a bad ride.
It wasn't.
It gave me those butterflies.
Yeah,
Personally.
it's kind of like the ladybug we were just talking about. Like it gives, it was fun.
Yeah, my family, we call that the tiki feeling. Before we end, I wanted to bring up one more thing, and this is for the listeners to chime in. Please chime in on this. On the Tidal Wave, there's the center mass of the ship, and there are mermaids that are part of the mass. Like, they have these blue dresses painted on them. I'm sorry, this is a family show, but their breasts are covered. But as a child, I am pretty sure that those were not covered, that they just had fins, but then their stomachs and chest were bare.
And you found a picture that kind of backed it up.
Yes, so I found an old picture, and I couldn't tell, like, is this an old picture or not? And there's a kid waiting in line, and as soon as I saw his haircut, I was like, this is the
That
90s.
bowl cut.
Yeah, it's a huge bowl cut. So I was like, yeah, that's the time, and you can tell that there's the skin color. If you could chime in, if you remember as a kid, those mermaids were naked. I'm pretty sure I remember that.
Well, we enjoyed our trip, and sorry this has been a long episode, a little longer than normal, but we're really not sorry because we've enjoyed every second of it. I will add that one fun part of our trip was it was our first time sporting our new This Is a Place podcast shirts, and thanks to all the fans who came up to us and said something on our trip.
And the new
There was-
fans we made.
And the new fans.
There was somebody, when we were getting on Cannibal, the worker standing there said, "Nice shirts."
Oh, the one who was checking our wristbands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he knows.
said that.
He knows about the podcast. And we did have some people ask us about our shirts, but what I want to ask the listeners is, do you want a This Is a Place podcast shirt? And I'm asking this a little prematurely because we don't even have a way to sell you one. But if that was the case, we're on it.
It's coming soon.
Coming soon.
Meet me at the corner of 3300 South and State Street.
I don't work there
I'll
anymore.
be wearing a McGruff.
What?
I'll be wearing.
Look for the McGruff dog.
McGruff. Well, Matt already plugged our social media, so give us some love on the Facebook, the Instagram, wherever you can find us. And tell us which Lagoon episode you want to hear next.
I heard that Matthew McConaughey loves roller coasters.
Oh, you did?
He goes, all right, all right, all right. Why did the rooster not ride the roller coaster?
Why?
Because he was too chicken.
So, when we're on roller coasters, we say we. What do people in Spanish say? Nosotros!
Nosotros. You could also say, we say we, but did the French say yes?
You got another one?
I was just going to say the one time I went to Lagoon and my son wasn't tall enough to ride the ride. And I thought, how unfair is that? Making my son watch me ride the ride all by myself. I will tell you this, though, when you start going to theme parks with your kids.
Amusement parks.
Sorry. And theme parks for all that. Any type of roller coaster park. It's nerve-wracking when you have kids because you're always worried about them making sure that they're in their seats correctly. That whole fear of them getting hurt on the ride. For the last 10 years that we've been going with our kids, the sky coaster, the sky ride was the scariest ride for me because I just always had fear of my kids falling out of the chair. But they're old enough now.
I just wanted to thank you guys for having me on again. I'm excited to do more episodes if you'll have me back on.
We'll definitely have you back on. It's always fun
Thanks.
to get your take on things.
Thanks for having me. If it's all right with you, I'm going to leave on this note, okay?
Okay.
Yes, I'm glad I'm me. Yes, I'm glad I'm me. Because my life is really great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna celebrate. Well,
So thank you guys.
And thank you for listening to This Is a Place podcast.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. See you next week.
See y'all.